Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 4 of season 4 of our F125 Cadillac career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix back at Imola. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from Jeddah, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. It was quite a crazy race from the Jeddah Corniche. It seems with 3 races down that the battle at the front of the order is going to be between ourselves and Ferrari over the course of the campaign, and well, tempers certainly reached an all-new level last time out. Charles Leclerc now with a 7-point lead over his teammate Lando Norris. We are 13 points back at the moment, with Oscar Piastri just a further 5 behind. Ferrari with a decent 24-point buffer in the Constructors' Championship as well, but 3 different winners from the opening 3 Grand Prix. Will Oscar Piastri make it a 4th this weekend? Only time will tell, but yeah, I'm very, very excited to see how this championship is going to continue on. It seems like, yeah, Ferrari, of course, are, the main team so far this season. The main team so far in this entire series. They have dominated, of course, courtesy of Charles Leclerc, 3 World Championships back-to-back inside this game. But are we finally this season going to be able to try and give them a proper run for their money? As you can see, taking a look at some of the facilities inside the game, we have got basically nothing left to do inside F125. We've done all of the available corporate ones, we've got 1 more personnel one, and we've done all of the engineering ones as well. We are steadily just trying to get any last upgrade I can onto the car, but for some reason the only one I've got left is the durability one, and it just won't apply. So that's basically as far away as we are from maxing out this car inside the game. You can see research, apart from 2 engine upgrades that I'm actually waiting on Ferrari to give us, I can't do anything else either. So it's safe to say, yeah, F125, we might be kind of reaching everything we can do inside this series. Performance-wise, though, Red Bull and McLaren, actually weirdly, just ahead of Ferrari and ourselves, but most teams now getting pretty much up towards the ceiling of what you expect to see inside this series as well. So I think we're going to see a little less movement this year, unless we obviously get some major reg changes or anything like that. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We are getting very, very close to 150,000 subs on the channel as well. Also, if you want early access to all of these videos, you can click the join button down below. It costs just £1 a month. You get, like I said, get early access as well as a couple of other little perks. But yeah, without further ado though, let's return here to Imola.
Welcome along everybody to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
Well, heading out then into qualifying here, just with the weird way I record this series. This is actually the first time ever that this series is being ran on the new patch that came out for F125 last week. Of course, a massive thank you to everybody that watched and enjoyed those videos we did, testing out the all-new F2 cars, and then also doing a bit of a direct comparison between the old AI and the new ones in the wet conditions. They are definitely a lot better. There's still a lot of work, though, that could be done with them inside this game. Is really trying to chuck the car through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane at the start of the lap. But yeah, this qualifying session, though, is going to be really, really tricky. Number 1, it's changeable conditions, so everybody's got to try and get their first run in Q1 nice and tidy. Number 2, where I haven't raced this car in about a week, I'm really struggling to kind of adapt to its speed around the lap as well, so got to be really, really careful with it as we make our way up the hill. Nice and tidy through Sector 1 purple, through Sector 2 then as we really try to attack the curb through the chicane. But of course, yeah, everybody just wants to try and get a safe lap on the board nice and early on in this session, because this will probably be the only dry running we get throughout qualifying there. A little bit of a correction through that penultimate corner. Huge stack of oversteer as we try and get the power down out of the final turn. And on the run back to the line, we do a 1:11.6, and that puts us straight to the top of the pile. And there we go then, as the rain starts falling down a bit later on in the session. Oscar Piastri actually ends up going fastest by 0.4 of a second ahead of myself. Both Mercedes are up in P3 and P4 there. Both Ferraris make it through. Tim Tran makes a fantastic lap in his Audi car to get himself inside the top 10 in Q1. Both Audis actually making it through, which doesn't happen often. But both V-Carbs out, Jack Doohan, both Haskars, and Gabriel Bortoletto all out in Q1 then, so a bit of disappointment for him. I apologise as well. Solov is, of course, Bulgarian, not Hungarian. I don't know how I got that muddled up in my head. Q2 then looks to be one of those sessions where I think being the last car on a run is going to do you a lot of favours here. Everybody out there are on the full wet, so let's just see what we can do then. I've made sure to give myself enough time to go for 2 runs if I need it. So I'll have to be careful with how much ERS we use the first lap round. But yeah, everybody then out for a run. So I think we're going to use this first one as a bit more of a sighting lap. And the second one is where we'll really try and go for it. Doesn't mean I'm going to leave a load of time on the table, though, right, this first run. But we shall wait and see. Well, purple sector 1, purple sector 2. I think we are going to rocket up to the top of the timings, but it's how quick will everybody else be going behind us then. Still got most of a charger battery to go for another run as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And we won't quite have it all, but I think honestly, you just want to be the last car on a run at this stage of the session. Annoyingly, the AI will only ever go for 1 run inside this game, as we will dip below the 1 minute 25s. Actually, a very odd kind of weather effect here at the moment. Kind of see as the circuit is drying up in random patches. Down through turn 1 and turn 2 again then. Nice and easy, nice and tidy. See, already a 10th up then by the time we come out of those first couple of turns. Yeah, these these full wet tyres even should be able to get a couple of laps in them. But are we going to see anybody else go quicker? No, the AI are all diving back in. So do they just not believe it is, you know, there's enough grip out on the circuit to warrant going for this again there? Or are they kind of just all, you know, the mindset, if they all pit, then nobody needs to improve? I mean, if you're down in P11, you'd absolutely be wanting to go for a run here right towards the end of qualifying. But how odd is that then? As the track reaches its best levels of grip of this session, nobody else wants to head out and complete a lap then, as we are up over a second on my previous best. Always seems to happen at Imola as well inside this game. I've had a couple of really odd qualifyings around here, but as we make our way then down in towards the final couple of corners, nice and tidy, nice and easy. On the way in, get the power down through the exit as well. We're going to be close to 1.5 seconds further up. Yeah, we are going to remain at the top of the board. And have a look at that then, 2.5 seconds clear of anybody else by the end of Q2. But this time round, it's Kimi Antonelli, who is our closest rival. Tim Tramnitz, though, making it into Q3 for, I believe, the first time in his Audi car there. So a fantastic effort by him. Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, both Frenchmen will be gutted to have dropped out in Q2 there. Especially, you know, Pierre Gasly, that Mercedes looked to be rapid through Q1. Both Williams will drop out. Nico Hulkenberg out as well as Lance Stroll. So a few surprises there by the end of Q2. But could we see some big shocks as we head into Q3? Ollie Behrman up in P9. That's pretty good when we bear in mind where that Alpine's been this year. Well, heading out then into Q3, it does look like the circuit has all but dried up. But once again, I'm just going to go for a double run. A bit of a build lap first time. Make sure I know where the grip is. And then we'll try and go for one banzai lap right towards the end of this session there. Antonelli, you can see, for some reason, the only one showing up on intermediates on the board. So I'm guessing that he went out a little bit earlier on before the crossover point. And obviously, yeah, we're just now picking up a bit more speed right towards the end of the session. This is going to be one of those sessions, again, where you want to be out there right at the very end. But apparently not if you're the AI. Purple through sector 1. But, I mean, imagine if everybody else pits again. This could be a huge pole position margin by the end of the session. Only time will tell, as I mean, we are not downshifting through the top of the circuit. Well, this really does encourage everybody to try and get that lap nailed. We are going to immediately set a benchmark. But, of course, you know, that wasn't my fast run. This, hopefully now, is going to be my fast run here, as we will run a 1:13.2. Based on the times we set in Q1, that would not be competitive. But we'll wait and see as to how much the AI can improve by. Just getting on the brakes nice and late in through turn 1 and turn 2 there. Tim Tramnitz goes to the top of the board immediately. Norris does a 1:10.7. That is insanely quick by the end of qualifying there, as we are really trying to attack through the exit of Sector 1. Don't think we're going to get close to that time set by the Ferrari. I think they've just been hiding their out-and-out pace here, as Piastri's only been able to go P7 come the end of the session. But we would need 2.5 seconds here. To be fair, we're already up by 1.3. So we are definitely finding more and more speed there as up over the top of Aqua Minerale. 1.5 seconds up as long as we end up near the front. Normally it's not qualifying pace here that is my strong point. It is the race pace, where we seem to be a whole lot better there. It's beginning now to run out of battery. 2 more corners to go though. Here of our final run in Q3. Attack the curb through the first part. Really try and carry the throttle through the second. 1.3 seconds up. I don't think it's going to be enough, but we're going to go pretty close. We join him on the front row. Well, there we are. Despite maybe fractionally better conditions for ourselves, that lap by Lando Norris just ridiculously quick. Happy, though, that we could split the Ferraris, so we're definitely in the fight as we head into race day Sunday. Carlos Sainz, their brilliant effort up in P4, just ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. But yeah, 1 Cadillac versus 2 Ferraris. This is going to be very difficult unless Piastri can bring himself into the fight.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula 1 tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Isaac Hadjar completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Tsunoda, George Russell and Antonelli, Piastri, Behrman, Tremnitz and Franco Colapinto, Gasly, Ocon, Nico Hulkenberg and Sainz, Pepe Marti, Stroll, Zach O'Sullivan and Paul Aaron, Doohan, Soloff, Bortoletto and Jack Crawford rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Well, it would be fascinating, wouldn't it, if Ferrari ended up in this scenario where one of their customer teams is fighting with Ferrari for the World Championship. Of course, only once in Formula 1 history has a Ferrari-powered car won a Grand Prix that wasn't a Ferrari. That, of course, being Sebastian Vettel at the 2008 Italian GP. What can we do today, though? Of course, 32 laps here from Imola. The medium tyre often can be a bit like jelly in the early stints, so I'm not opposed to doing a short first stint and then trying to extend the hards a little bit further. Maybe we can work on an undercut, because honestly, I think Ferrari have got just a bit more speed this afternoon. 5 red lights are on, though, here at Imola. Oh, and a mighty long hold there, and it is lights out, and away we go. Trying to give my shortest run down in towards turn 1, but Leclerc has immediately had me, and even the MasterCard McLaren of Tsunoda going to try and have a look as well there. So, I see, just getting a bit caught out. Tsunoda trying to do his best Verstappen impression, getting around the outside there with that first turn. This is a bit of shuffling going on further behind, but yeah, not my best start in the world on F1 25. He's just got to settle down and get into a rhythm. Of course, didn't take long for Yuki last season to win a race. And obviously, as we've seen, Red Bull and McLaren should be in this fight on raw performance as well. It's just obviously, yeah, Ferrari have got a very, very good lineup. And so do we down at Cadillac. Of course, with the new driver rating update, Oscar Piastri now in this series is 96 rated, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it as well. Of course, he had an absolute clanger though, didn't he? Out in Baku last weekend. So he'll be hoping, I'm sure, when we return to Singapore, then he can have a bit of a better time of things. Lando Norris, though, trying to scamper away on lap 1. Only the 1 DRS zone around this Imola circuit. Oh, but it is a rather big one. Out of the final corner, we survived the start. Norris still leading. Yuki Tsunoda there trying to apply pressure to Charles Leclerc back in towards turn 1. Yuki to the outside, and well, Ferrari, they were happy with a 1-2, and they've immediately gone and lost it. Tsunoda, for the second time in this race, goes around the outside at turn 1. I mean, this is just ridiculous, isn't it? Every single lap, Yuki and Charles are just going to keep swapping early on in this race. Is Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Also, let's not forget, not a Ferrari driver, but this is still his home event. And after having a couple of pretty terrible cars over the last couple of seasons, it'd be great to see him, obviously, in that Red Bull, finally have a machine that can fight. I don't believe I've seen him win a race so far on F125. His AI has been pretty terrible for the most part. So, yeah, Yuki, though, immediately getting that range off George Russell. So doing pretty well. But, as Leclerc there really tries to hang the car up through the top of the circuit. Is he going to be able to get another run on Tsunoda? Or are we finally going to be able to get in this fight as well? It is only lap 4 of this race, but I do not just want to, keep watching these two battle. There's a bit of a snap oversteer there. I think we just dipped the rear wheel over the grass. I tried not to really gain an advantage from it, but we certainly won't be able to have a look for a run back in towards turn 1. I think the thing is with these two in front is just how quickly they get past each other out of that final corner. Normally it's a really difficult turn to kind of stick on the gearbox of the car in front, but again, you can see Leclerc, I mean, he's passed him pretty much by the start line. It's just insane. Like, I can only assume George Russell's got some rather major issues, because now Ollie Behrman up to P6 then in that Alpine. I guess what's reassuring for us though up at the front is Lando Norris isn't really getting away from Leclerc, Yuki and I, as we actually got a really nice run that time around. You can see sticking to the back of Tsunoda, trying to drain some battery as we make our way in towards turn 1. We just have not got enough at the top end there as well. Tsunoda tried to have a look around the outside of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc defended that very, very late. Tsunoda forced almost to the grass in towards turn 1. It's certainly given Charles a bit of a gap now ahead of the pair of us, but we've got to try and stick in that range. And finally, we actually make an overtake. Oh, safety car, red flag. Oh, one of the cars at the back of the field's gone. I hadn't even spotted that. I think that must have been the McLaren of sight then, who's went around. I'm sure there'll be a replay up on your screens at the moment. But big error early on then. And that makes tyre strategy super difficult in through the rest of the race.
Done all right so far, but this is a chance to take a breath. We've got another half of this race to go, and there's still a big opportunity there.
24 laps on a set of hard compound tyre. Do we think that's doable? Or would I rather start on the soft and then try to fight our way back through? I think that's what I want to go with. Tyre wear, like I said, shouldn't be too much of an issue here, but I'd rather just be quick off the restart, try to get ahead of those Ferraris, and then manage the pace a little bit later on in the day. This is going to be a big gamble in this race, but we've got to try and go for it then, as everybody around me on the hards. It is 5 red lights. It's lights out, and away we go then. And well, despite having much more grip on those tyres, Leclerc again though seems to be the fast starter on the run in towards turn 1. So he really tries to cover off his teammate there. Lando having to brake a bit early almost took me by surprise. Luckily we get the car slowed down and we hang on to our grid position this time round. But Charles Leclerc then, of course, Ferrari's darling, back up into the lead of the GP. Again, if we can try and pull away from those cars behind, that would prove very useful. But that early pit stop, that early red flag even, yeah, really kind of spicing up the strategy here. I have to wait and see as to how it pans out. As you can just see how much more grip we've got over the top of the circuit there, over Lando Norris. Of course, we know as well those harder tyres will be more difficult to fire up, and we've got to try and capitalise as Lando, desperate to defend, up in towards the chicane. So around the outside we will go. Back up then into second place of this race for the first time since the start. And let's try not to lose the range to Leclerc. Oh, Lando. Oh, I want to try and defend the inside, but Lando Norris there very committed to try and make that happen down at turn 1. The Ferrari definitely has a lot more speed than us today, and for some reason, we're just burning through so much battery to even try and keep up with the AI. I know Imola is definitely one of their strongest circuits inside this game, especially as the cars get more and more upgraded. Well, Lando Norris knows if he wants to beat Leclerc to a World Championship this season, he's got to try and outscore him nice and early on. For Ferrari, though, I mean, this season, probably the first one ever, where Leclerc started the season pretty well as Lando Norris back around the outside of his teammate on that run in towards turn 1. Leclerc will try and defend, but again, we will try and force our way through between a pair of other cars here, get ourselves into the middle of that squabble, as Lando Norris now once more trying to run away at the front. I think Ferrari have got the ultimate speed today, but all we can do is try and just stay in it and prove ourselves to be a bit of a nuisance, similar to what Verstappen has done so many times this year against the McLarens. And so far today, of course, no Verstappen in this series, so I guess we've kind of got to fill that void. Oh, Lando. I swear for a second there, it just seemed like he was slowing down up over the top of the circuit. It's Leclerc already just beginning to drift away a little bit further behind. 1.4 seconds now, that gap. As I do expect the Ferraris to pit in before the end of this GP, but getting right up on the gravel as we make our way through the exit of that final corner. Lap 12 of 32, and for the first time today, can we take the lead of this Grand Prix? To the outside of Lando Norris we will go. Big speed there, dipping a wheel on the grass, but we will swoop through and finally up into P1 then, as Norris will drop further and further away off the exit of the chicane. Next goal, try and get out of the DRS. I'm starting to get these soft tyres fired up where we need them, but we've got to make sure we look after them as well. So we'll try and break the toe then off of Lando Norris out of the final corner. Move to the inside of the circuit there. Luckily, nothing we could do that time round, as Norris will make it by. I think honestly the undercut is going to have to serve as our best friend here. There's obviously the Imola pit lane, a really, really long one. You lose a lot of time by stopping. So as long as the AI do pit, we should still be in a pretty good spot. But yeah, I'm hoping, of course, because of how quick everybody is and how still fairly bunched up the entire field are, that when we do pit, of course, we shouldn't have to deal with much traffic before the AI pit towards the end of the afternoon. I have to wait and see, though, as again, I mean, that Ferrari off the corners is just ludicrous. Well, by half distance then, these tyres feel absolutely destroyed. Yeah, and there you go, Mark telling us dive into the pit lane then. These tyres are pretty cooked at this stage. Tyre warning light just flashing up. So we make our way down through the final couple of corners. You can see just not able to get the car where I need it. There's Lando Norris running away up at the front of the order. Make sure we get it slowed down there. A little bit early on pit lane entry, but I'm really intrigued to see what is Tsunoda doing with the tyre strategy this afternoon. Is he still on effectively a one-stop? Is he now having a two-stop this race? We'll get official confirmation soon, and where will we come out relative to him? There's Bolton on that first set of hards, so Tsunoda is definitely two-stopping. There is not a chance he can get that set to the end of the Grand Prix. Will I come out, though, ahead of Yuki after he had such a strong start to this race? Really big disappointment to see him struggling as much as he is. Looks like we're going to come out just ahead of him as well, which is really, really important. But of course, effectively now then, we've got to try and undercut Lando. And probably undercut him by quite a lot. He's obviously going to be on fresh softs at the end of this race. I'm going to be on old hards. Well, this is not really where I want to be at the moment. I was hoping it would be quite a while longer before we caught up to the AI. But as Jack Crawford dives into the pit lane then, just see, hopefully we'll try and get a run now around Paul Aaron. Load of cars into the pits though as well. We get a big old squeeze from the Estonian. Yep, I know how to use ERS on this game, Mark. Leave me be, as we need to try and find a way around Jack Doohan in that second. Alpine car there has almost run into the back of him. Down in towards Tosa though. We will get down the inside. And we'll move up then into 7th place. Rather odd here that we're not seeing an overtake down the start-finish straight. Obviously, absolutely dominates this circuit inside F125 as Nicholas Solov, he's having a pretty good recovery so far, running up in 6th. Always a bit difficult to work out exactly what's going on with the strategy, as we've actually come out ahead of one of the Ferraris. I didn't even notice that. So locked into our own battle against Paul Aaron then, as I'm hoping we'll try and get inside the range of Solov just to get the DRS off him. I would assume that's Charles. that we've come out ahead of then. So even the AI aren't really going for an orthodox strategy here, as both Audis up currently inside your top 5. But Solov there, he doesn't want the fight at the moment then. He will immediately peel into the pit lane. Esteban Ocon as well into the pit. So Tim Tramnitz running up in P3 in that Audi. Oh, Hulkenberg very, very slow up over the top of the circuit. And this is where it gets painful when you don't catch the AI at the right places around the lap. Oh, a little bit of contact. So I just wasn't expecting the Audi driver to be so slow off of the corner. And I think Hulkenberg, yeah, just decided then that probably wasn't worth the fight. Ollie Behrman up in P2 in that Alpine. So this is really giving a few of our midfield runners an opportunity to try and prove themselves. Luckily for me as well, of course, Charles Leclerc, he has got to try and find his way around a lot of these machines. As neither Tim Tramnitz or Behrman diving into the pit lane. They're both just trying to enjoy this. I mean, they could go to the end, I think. Let's just listen in.
Just ahead, push hard. Time last lap, 1 minute 16.6. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 1.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. They've done 21 laps on those tyres. We think they've got one more stop. You're gaining by 2 seconds a lap. Amazing. Gap to your teammate behind, 10.0 seconds.
There we go, though. Mark maybe not realising that they have once stopped in this race. But yeah, Tramnitz and Behrman, by the sounds of it, aren't going to try and get to the end on that set of rubber. As annoyingly, we're going to close up to the second Audi in this race at exactly the same place we did the first. Oh, try and keep it inside track limits there. Oh, he gets a huge wobble up over the curbing. Still going to be down the inside, though, as we make our way through the chicanes. So we'll have to wait for the DRS back in towards turn 1, I think. Trying to get the power, though, off of those final couple of corners is where, how far ahead Lando Norris is. Oh, over everybody else still. You can see there, Behrman diving into the pit lane, so I think Tramnitz is going to do the same. Yep, there we go. Tim Tramnitz into the box as well. So Lando Norris, 24 seconds up the road. Charles Leclerc, new fastest lap of the day, only 2 seconds behind us. Oh, we've got yellows, we've got yellows. That could be a safety car as Zach O'Sullivan becomes our first retirement of the Grand Prix. Please don't be a safety car. I don't want to see Lando Norris claim a huge advantage from that, as he just seems to be stricken on the inside of turn 1. So I think that was just a mechanical failure. Lando Norris, though, into the pit lane immediately then, as it looks like we do have about enough speed to try and keep Charles Leclerc at bay. Norris, though, opting not to deal with any traffic, anything like that. He's going to be on a set of soft compound tyres to the finish line here. So will we get the jump on him? I think we will. The next question is, by how much will we get the jump on the Ferrari man? Back to P1 in this Grand Prix. Leclerc will get the jump on him. George Russell might even get the jump on Lando as he makes his way back out onto the circuit. No, Norris just about hangs on to that third spot, and that could be critical. But every single lap then at the moment, Leclerc and Norris just getting closer and closer in towards that first corner. But this time around again, Leclerc actually hangs on. Has there been a call from higher up at Ferrari? I just have visions of someone ringing a telephone in a smoke-filled room holding a cigarette, telling them, you know, Charles Leclerc, he is Ferrari's darling. We've seen it IRL. We see it in this series, of course. You don't win 3 world championships with Ferrari and don't remain pretty special. I'm trying to think. I think it's only Michael Schumacher that has won 3 or more championships with Ferrari in Formula 1. I know Niki Lauda won 2. I can think of a few drivers that won 2. But of course, yeah, every other 3-time world champion or more, of course, hasn't won them all with Ferrari, if any of them, with quite a lot of those drivers. But Leclerc, again now, though, desperately trying to get into our DRS. I think both of those drivers know if they are the one that gets in the range of me, they are probably going to win this race. But with 4 laps to go, we are desperately trying to hang on. Norris has made an error through the final couple of corners, and that has given Leclerc another chance to breathe. Well, I just said how Lando Norris should be able to hang on to the podium here, but with the pace he's dropping away, Kimi Antonelli might be able to get to him by the end of this race. What do you do if you're an Italian Formula 1 fan? Do you hope for Ferrari? Or do you hope for Antonelli? In towards someone, though, Charles Leclerc out of nowhere thinks about trying to have a look for it, and now we've got to really try and charge up the battery pack. Bring it down into ERS setting 0. So hopefully we're going to be able to charge it up through the rest of the lap here. But of course that will mean we're going to be more vulnerable. The AI definitely not as strong off of corner exit as they once were on this game. But they're still pretty good when you're not using the battery. Charles Leclerc able to get a huge run on me up towards the top of the circuit. We will give him a bit of a pinch to the inside of that corner there. And again, just about able to hang on this time round. One more lap after this one though here from Imola, and you can see now Antonelli, if he could get in the range of Lando Norris there, he could potentially get to him by the time they get down in towards turn 1. I've basically charged up the pack as much as I can. We've got 91% there as Leclerc, he doesn't even want to wait for the DRS zone. Charles Leclerc trying to look round the outside, we lock up the front. We just might gather it up through the final couple of corners. Let's go then. Activate the DRS, or sorry, the ERS even, out of the final corner. Let's try and break the slipstream as we make our way back in towards turn 1. Defend the inside line, but it's nothing against Charles Leclerc there, who moves through and up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Are we going to be able to try and hang with him on this final lap there as we get very, very squirrely out of turn 1? I think Lando Norris has just like got enough ahead of Antonelli, a bit further behind there as we just carry too much speed through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. We know we can continue to use battery. Sector 2 has been our strong point throughout the entirety of this race so far. Can we hang on? Can we try and find a way around Charles Leclerc before the end of the lap? You don't normally see overtakes through the second half of this lap, but Charlie tried to do it against me last time round there. Really nice run out through Aqua Minerale, up the hill into the chicane we go, but again we lock up the fronts, we pick up another warning, and Charles Leclerc, he waited right to the very end of this Grand Prix, but through the final couple of corners, he is going to become our first repeat winner of the season. Ferrari are going to be back on top here at Imola, but by less than a second. Boy, we made him work for that one.
And Leclerc to the line, to the checkered flag. It's King Charles today. He wins.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course, Crofty. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
It's what they've all been racing towards, waiting for them. High above the pit lane is our podium. And for the lucky 3, it's time to stand on it. And who gets to take the top step of the podium? Yes, it is I, Leclerc. Charles Leclerc on top.
Well, there we are then. Charles Leclerc making that move on the last lap as one Ferrari went for the overtake, the other one desperately defending. Lando Norris, I think he was a little bit screwed over. I just don't think the soft tyres worked around this circuit today. So your top 3 on the grid, reversed come the checkered flag, but I think we're still happy that we're able to split those Ferrari cars. It does just mean, though, that Leclerc started to build up a little bit of momentum up at the top of the championship. Andrea Kimi Antonelli gutted, I'm sure, just 2/10 away from his first podium of the year. George Russell ahead of Esteban Ocon. Oscar Piastri, I thought he'd had a pretty good recovery, but truth be told, he just stayed exactly where he was as Colapinto beats out Bourbon, and Bortoletto from the back of the field to come through for P10 is a very, very impressive result there. Gasly in 11th, just ahead of Nicolas Solov. Carlos Sainz couldn't do a lot there, and shame to see the Audis kind of fell apart throughout the course of that Grand Prix. Zach O'Sullivan, though, our only driver that failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do, though, to our World Championship? Well, it means now Leclerc, 17 clear at the top of the table, ahead of Lando. We are a further 3 points back, sorry, I should say. And then there's a bit of a drop back to Oscar Piastri, ahead of George Russell, who is yet to score a point this season. Still Solov, Stroll, doing both Audis and both V-Carbs there. Constructors-wise, though, Ferrari, again, further extend that gap at the top of the table. 40 points now, the difference between the team in red and, well, the American team in red so far this campaign. But, I mean, you can already see it is just Ferrari and Cadillac taking the lion's share of points early on this season. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns, I believe, ready out in Canada.